This is the CBS Evening News. Bob Schieffer reporting. Good evening. We were notified just a few minutes ago that President Bush was hospitalized late today after suffering what apparently was shortness of breath while jogging at Camp David. He's reported to be in stable condition tonight, but a spokesman says he's going to require some further examination. Bill Plant's in our Washington bureau, and we're going to go to him now for the very latest. Bill?
Well, Bob, the president was in Ann Arbor earlier today making a commencement speech. He flew back to Andrews Air Force Base, and from there he helicoptered directly to Camp David. And it was at Camp David that this incident apparently happened. The information we have says that the president suffered shortness of breath while he was jogging this afternoon at Camp David and was taken to Bethesda Naval Hospital for further examination. There is a statement put out by the president's doctor, which says at approximately 4:20 p.m., while jogging at Camp David, President Bush suffered a shortage of breath. He was taken to the Camp David medical facility and examined by Dr. Michael Nash, one of the president's physicians, and he was determined to have atrial fibrillation. This is the doctor's statement. The doctor's statement continues he is in stable condition, but will require further examination at Bethesda Naval Hospital. Dr. Herrick said that Bush departed Camp David for the Navy Hospital at 5:38 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time by helicopter and got there about 20 minutes later. And Bob, that's what we know at this point.
Bill, I'm told by medical authorities here at CBS News that this fibrillation that you mentioned and that is mentioned in the doctor's statement amounts to a rapid contraction of the heart muscle. Now, we have no idea at this point, nor does anyone outside the White House, just how serious this is. We will repeat what Bill Plant just said, that the president, according to this statement, is in stable condition, but is going to require further examination. He is at the Bethesda Naval Hospital. This happened about mid-afternoon today after the president made, as Bill said, a commencement address at the University of Michigan. He made what wound up to be a fairly controversial commencement speech in which he attacked Lyndon Johnson's Great Society program. It was on the same campus that Mr. Johnson had unveiled the program, which Mr. Bush said today was a failure that made things worse. Here's part of what the president said.
Programs designed to ensure racial harmony generated animosity. Programs intended to help people out of poverty invited dependency. We should have learned that while the ideals behind the Great Society were noble, and indeed they were, the programs weren't always up to the task.
Well, as you can see there, the president appeared in good health and perfectly normal. That was earlier today at the University of Michigan, where he was making that commencement address. His problem, the shortness of breath, as we said earlier, came after he returned to Camp David and had gone for a jog. To repeat, he is in the Bethesda Naval Hospital tonight. His condition is listed there as stable. We'll be going back to Washington the moment we have more information on all of this. Turning now to the other news today, the death and destruction from the cyclone in Bangladesh has grown to proportions that are almost beyond comprehension now. The best estimates tonight from official sources are that 125,000 people have died, at least 1 million homes, as well as countless schools, roads, and other public works have been destroyed, and to pile horror upon horror, food and other relief supplies for 5,000 people were lost when a boat carrying them sank during another storm. Barry Peterson now with our report.
This ravaged country that has suffered one of the worst tragedies in its history suffered even more. Fresh winds whipped up more waves, more misery last night and this morning. It's now believed that as many as 10 million people are without food, water, or shelter. And officials able to get into the area are increasingly fearful about disease, especially cholera. Supplies from the outside world are beginning to trickle in. This airfield was underwater a few days ago. Yet, within the country, there is growing anger about how long it is taking, how little is reaching the hardest hit areas. It's unclear just how effectively the country's military is spreading what supplies are available. It's unclear just how much of the country's military is even left. It's also unclear how much damage has been done. Some villages are still out of touch. Others are still underwater. Those who survived are improvising. This bridge, with its back broken, is being used to dry what rice could be salvaged. From the outside world, the offers of money are pouring in, the single biggest pledge from Saudi Arabia, which promised more than $100 million in aid, but the aid is slow in coming. After massive flooding 2 decades ago, the government drew up plans to build special cyclone shelters, better warning systems, quick reaction teams. The plan was debated, revised, reshaped, and a handful of shelters ultimately built. But as Bangladesh is learning day by bitter day, it was all pitifully too little. Barry Peterson, CBS News, London.
Allied troops in northern Iraq pushed onward today, further expanding the safe haven zone for Kurdish refugees. Kurds are now returning home in large numbers, but Kurdish rebels who fought Saddam Hussein are being more cautious. Bert Quint with that.
Local Kurdish resistance chiefs came out of their high mountain strongholds today to talk tactics.
We are between peace and war. 6 or 7 parties, we try to speak with each other about the situation in this area.
It's a military jigsaw puzzle in this region of northern Iraq where the Allies are extending their control. Here, Western troops. Around the bend, Iraqis, often face to face with the Peshmerga, or freedom fighters they were bombing only weeks ago. While resistance groups tread the tricky ground between peace and war, Kurdish civilians are trying to pick up the pieces of their shattered lives. Before the uprising and Saddam's ruthless retaliation, 2,000 people lived in the remote village of Kani. Today, there are 100. There's little food, no electricity, no transportation. But it's spring, and planting must begin. Above all, families must be reunited. There's no point, they say, in dreaming the old dream of an independent Kurdistan. What the people of Kani want is autonomy, democracy, human rights. While so much else is destroyed, somehow hope remains. Inshallah, they say. God willing, maybe this time it will happen. Bert Quint, CBS News, Kani, Iraq.
U.S. Army flew more Iraqi refugees to Saudi Arabia today and started to tear down the Safwan refugee camp in southern Iraq. U.S. troops there are expected to leave southern Iraq by the middle of next week. The president of South Korea is facing unprecedented pressure this week to quit from students who demonstrated today in Seoul and 20 other cities. Bill Whitaker has that.
They poured through the streets of downtown Seoul, 40,000 demonstrators protesting the police killing of a student last week and calling for the ouster of President Roh Tae-woo. The marchers left behind their usual firebombs and rocks, but they ran headlong into the usual harsh resistance. Police tried to disperse the crowds with tear gas and water cannons, only to watch the demonstrators regroup and march again. This is the biggest demonstration and the biggest political crisis President Roh has faced his 3 years in office. Protesters say they're fed up with his failure to deliver full democracy.
People had hope that he might do it, he would do it. And waited, and he didn't do it. Nothing was really done.
Nationwide protests ended the authoritarian rule of Roh's predecessor, but the Roh government is confident it can contain the current unrest.
But I don't think this thing is really getting wide public support. So, of course, there are many people who are a little bit unhappy about many things, but I don't think those people are joining.
Some observers believe the government underestimates the discontent.
Many Korean students are not participating in the protest now, but they are burning inside.
Today's demonstration went on into the night. The government hopes to quell this uproar soon, but the marches grow larger and louder each day, and tonight they show little sign of letting up. Bill Whitaker, CBS News, Tokyo.
Overcoming an initial U.S. government refusal to grant him a visa, former Iranian President Abu Hassan Bani Sadr arrived in the United States today. He is promoting a book which accuses the Reagan campaign of making a deal with Iran to prevent a release of the American hostages before the 1980 election. Reagan and Bush administration officials deny all of the allegations. Still ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News, a midterm report card on Vice President Quayle. And the Federal Space Agency, NASA, faces a fiscal wing clipping.
In about 10 minutes, you can either begin making fresh brewed iced tea, or you can begin drinking it. The Iced Teapot by Mr. Coffee, the modern way to make old-fashioned iced tea.
Introducing the new Gripper Zipper from Ziploc, the easiest closing bag there is. I can even close it with my hands tied behind my back. Yes, the zipper is grabbing hold. It's locking. Feel it close the first time, every time. Ziploc bags with the new Gripper Zipper.
How far do you think it is? Oh, about 140 miles. And there ain't a thing out there.
Reliability isn't a sticker you put on the windshield. It's something you darn well better design in from the start.
This is far. This is forever.
You know, we're not selling these cars to mechanics. It could be someone like your mother, and they just gotta know they won't be left sitting somewhere by the side of the road.
I mean, that's the way I would want it if I was a customer.
Hey, look at this. Civilization. Sort of.
At Red Lobster, we serve up delicious extras at no extra charge, like unlimited hot, fresh bread, crisp Caesar or garden salad, your choice of potato or fresh vegetable, all at no extra charge at Red Lobster.
How about Red Lobster shrimp for lunch? Our lunch shrimp special, just $3.99. Tempting fried shrimp, together with scampi, plus all the extras, just $3.99 for a limited time at Red Lobster for lunch.
In case you're just joining us, we reported just a while ago that President Bush was hospitalized at the Bethesda Naval Hospital tonight after complaining of shortness of breath while jogging earlier this afternoon at Camp David. We're also told that he suffered some sort of heart flutter, a contraction of the heart muscle. We have no idea at this point of how serious any of this is, except that the people at the Bethesda Hospital say he will require further examination, and they pronounce his condition as stable and safe. Of course, as we get more information on this, we'll pass it on to you. Meanwhile, White House Chief of Staff John Sununu flew to Florida today to give a commencement speech. Since that's considered official business, a spokesman said there was nothing improper this time about having the government pay his travel costs aboard a military jet. But even as Sununu was marching to the podium for his speech, he got another bad travel advisory. Time magazine says tonight it now appears that some of Sununu's past trips were paid for by business corporations, which, if true, would violate federal ethics laws. No comment from the White House except to say a review of policy on who can use government jets and under what circumstances will be completed soon. When anything happens to the president, of course, attention turns quickly to the vice president and his most important role as the president's immediate successor. Well, Eric Ingberg has been keeping a close watch on Vice President Quayle during his 2 years in office, and he has an assessment tonight.
Your man and mine, a young man named Dan Quayle.
Dan Quayle's 2-year struggle to overcome a bad first impression starts with a simple political formulation. You don't have to please all the people, just one of them.
The president tells me to do something, I say, yes, sir.
Taking his cue from Mr. Bush's own 8-year tour as number 2, Quayle has slid comfortably into the role of loyal point man for administration policy. Mr. Bush has repaid that loyalty with access to the decision-making process. He and Quayle lunch once a week. The vice president is in on key daily briefings where insiders say he's more willing to voice opinions than Bush was when he had the job. Quayle also had a high-visibility role in the Gulf crisis. None of this has turned around Quayle's low standing in the opinion polls.
Where the doubt about Dan Quayle goes to his whole capacity to be a statesman, to rise above sort of second echelon Senate status. And that is different than any vice president has faced.
The job itself, often more glad-handing than policy-making, contributes to Quayle's problems in shaking an image as a lightweight which was frozen during his debut on the national stage.
You can only do what the president wants you to do, and you never overshadow the president. And it's a secondary office, so it's very hard to show the qualities of leadership that people want to see in a president.
In foreign policy, he has been a traditional Veep, greeter of dignitaries, frequent traveler, 31 countries, most of them well removed from the front pages.
We got our 2 flags, United States and Honduras flags.
Several of the trips have been to Latin America, a region the administration has largely ignored. At home, Quayle has been given a key role in space policy and advancing competitiveness. But he's most comfortable on the chicken and peas circuit. The vice president has raised $17 million for GOP candidates in 2 years and has become an administration emissary to the Republican right.
He's making friends, he's collecting chits. A lot of Republicans who might have thought that, gee, we ought to dump this guy because the polls show he's a problem, are meeting him and liking him, and that's a very good way to do it.
While still somewhat stiff as a speaker, he has now learned to use humor when caught in a verbal gaffe.
I know you find it hard to believe that I misspoke.
There's no longer much doubt among Republicans that Quayle will be on the ticket in '92. If it wins age, say, he'll have 4 more years to prove that he's a leader. Despite polls showing the public is uncomfortable at the thought of a President Quayle, no one who knows him doubts that he wants the top job in '96 and is already running. Eric Engberg, CBS News, Washington.
Everybody needs some money sometime. Everybody needs some cash.
When you need money fast, only Western Union can get it to over 16,000 locations in minutes. Nobody else even comes close. Western Union, the fastest way to send money.
Happy's part of the family, just like our children are.
We've been taking our daily walks since he was a puppy.
At Hearts Mountain, our goal is to help you improve your pet's quality of life. The Hearts 2-in-1 Flea and Tick Collar is just one way we do that. By killing fleas and ticks for up to 5 months, the Hearts Collar helps make your pet more comfortable. Helping to improve your pet's quality of life is your responsibility. Helping you do that is Hearts.
I consider myself a perfectionist. That's why I wear no-nonsense pantyhose, because they look great and can last through an entire concert without a snag. Now that's perfection.
No nonsense, the pantyhose that last.
Now's the time for Centrum Silver, because you're over 50 and you're out there swinging. Centrum Silver, a complete vitamin formula for your changing nutritional needs. Centrum Silver, it's a great time to be silver.
I'm Charles Kuralt. A message from Detroit to owners of all those foreign automobiles. Car buyer, come home. The story this Sunday morning.
Astronauts aboard the Space Shuttle Discovery managed to salvage some data from 3 military experiments today after a complicated rewiring job using a Swiss Army knife and some tape. The crew spent 2.5 hours cutting cables to bypass broken data recorders. This week's space mission has not been without its problems, but the frustration for the astronauts has been nothing compared to the troubles their bosses have been having back on Earth. That is our Washington notebook, space. Is there anyone out there that wants to go there anymore?
We're getting less than we were promised. Space Station Freedom is not, nor was it ever intended to be, the orbital version of the Waldorf Astoria.
These days, even supporters of NASA are admitting that the space agency is entering a new era of lowered expectations. As Capitol Hill grappled this week with approving NASA's $14.9 billion budget for next year, the highly touted space station was drawing the most heat. NASA was telling Congress the station would cost $30 billion, but congressional auditors were saying it is more like $180 billion, and some on the panel were fed up.
The $30 billion NASA estimate will get us a garage in space with nothing in it and nothing happening around it.
About the best NASA's beleaguered director could come up with was that the program has been overanalyzed, that Congress should either kill it or give it the go-ahead.
Let's give this program to the engineers and let them go build it as efficiently as hopefully we built this last space shuttle.
In fact, the entire space program is getting harder and harder to sell. NASA's high-visibility programs have developed costly problems. Shuttle missions are running into everything from fuel leaks to computer trouble. Design flaws in the Hubble telescope left it unable to focus clearly on distant stars. Last month, antenna on the Galileo spacecraft failed to open, and hope is fading that NASA will be able to salvage pictures of the billion-dollar mission to Jupiter. NASA has been counting on the talk of sending astronauts to Mars as one way to re-excite the public about space. Until, that is, the General Accounting Office started making cost estimates.
What, Mr. Bowser, do you understand it would cost us to go to Mars?
The best estimate that we have been able to see and review and everything like that might be as much as $500 billion.
We simply do not have the luxury of supporting programs that lack effective cost controls, contractors who support shoddy work, or spokespersons who consistently provide the Congress with unrealistically low-cost estimates.
By weeks in, the House had finally approved seed money for the manned space station, but only after a freshman congressman tacked on restrictions requiring a study of alternatives. That means the issue is far from settled.
The taxpayers won't be easy on us if we spend upwards of $30 billion of their hard-earned money on a project without even asking what our options are.
And what all this really underlines is the real problem facing NASA these days. With interest on the national debt gobbling up so much of what the government collects in taxes, there is less to spend on almost everything. So what you hear more and more in Congress is this: with so many problems that require attention here, why spend what little there is out there?
If you're counting calories, here's something you should know. An entire Kellogg's Special K breakfast, including cereal, fruit, skim milk, and coffee, actually has fewer calories than the leading diet shake. Fewer calories. And when you're dieting, isn't that what's important? Kellogg's Special K. Lose the fat.
Piloting a corporate jet for Dow can be interesting and rewarding, particularly when it's an Angel flight. The Corporate Angel Network uses empty seats on company business trips to fly cancer patients who need specialized treatment. Patients like Christy. Dow was the first to make over 100 of these flights.
Welcome aboard, Angel.
This company does great things. This is one of them.
I told Ellen, don't marry him. He will never take you anywhere.
He never tries anything new.
Ellen was so shy. She wasn't much of a dancer either. Bob is no Don Juan.
This year, come to life in Hawaii.
Since that trip to Hawaii, they haven't been the same.
Communicating the reality of wars and cyclones on television is one thing. Portraying the agonizing disintegration of a nation is another. That is the subject of Bruce Morton's personal commentary tonight.
A cyclone in Bangladesh. Pictures on television make the extent of the suffering clear. The devastation of the Kurds. Pictures on television make the extent of the suffering clear. But at the same time, another major event is going on, the collapse of a superpower. Much harder to picture, but every bit as real. Consider May Day in Moscow's Red Square this past week. No big parades or celebrations. How could there be? Gorbachev stood sullen and silent. Boris Yeltsin, his one-time rival, was off in Siberia trying to get striking miners back to work. The leaders of the country propose one economic fix after another. All have the sticky sound of Band-Aids being slapped on broken bones. The Soviet Union's economy is collapsing. Nobody thinks the fixes will work. The Soviet Union is collapsing. At least 6 of its republics seemingly determined to secede. No one is quite sure what will happen next. Those who believe in democracy, something no Soviet citizen has ever experienced, put their faith in it. But probably more people there yearn for the return of order, not the terror of the Stalin years, but the comfortable stagnation they knew under Leonid Brezhnev. You know those dolls the Russians make, one inside another, inside another? A man in Moscow makes this series. A Gorbachev with a sign saying, I'm hungry. A Brezhnev, I'm crazy. A Khrushchev, I'm right. A Stalin, I'm angry. And finally, littlest and last of all, a Lenin. I'm sorry. His great dream is failing, and no one knows what will happen next. Bruce Morton, CBS News, Washington.
Well, the sky was overcast, but the track was fast for today's 117th Kentucky Derby in Louisville. The winner was Strike the Goal, son of Aladar. Best Pal was second, and long shot Maine Minister was third. Here's track announcer Dave Johnson's call of the stretch run.
Right there, and down the stretch they come. Strike the Goal on the outside with Chris Antley taking command. Along the inside, Best Pal into the second spot. Maine Minister is third. Coming 70 yards to the finish and far away from the rail. Strike the Goal wins the Derby by a length and a half. Onto the wire second was Best Pal. Then it was a photograph between the long shot Maine Minister and from the far back Green Alligator.
You know, there are still people out there who need the advantages of a full-size car. They need great gas mileage.
Hello, this is Dr. Higgins.
At GM, we have cars like the Olds Custom Cruiser that are getting 25 miles to the gallon highway. Mid-sized Buicks, Chevrolets, Pontiacs, Cadillacs, 26 to 31 miles per gallon highway. Today, the fact is, GM leads in more EPA car categories than any other automaker in the world. The roads aren't getting any shorter, so we have to make our mileage better.
They ate their words. Critics are saying McDonald's new McLean Deluxe is revolutionary. That's because it's made with the leanest beef patty in the business, 91% fat-free. They're calling it phenomenal. That's because it tastes fantastic. The public demanded, McDonald's responded, with great burger taste and a lot less fat. But don't fill up on the press. Taste for yourself. One bite and you'll be talking about it too. Swallow first. New McLean Deluxe. After billions and billions, another first at McDonald's today.
Shoot some slices, shoot some shreds, shoot some salad, 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 salad shooter.
Presto Salad Shooter Slicer Shredder. Point and shoot right where you want. Clean up easy, dishwasher safe, store anywhere.
Salad shooter.
Original, cordless, and professional salad shooter.
At night, I soak my dentures. In the morning, I use toothpaste. At night, I soak.
Wake up. All you need is denture cream. In just 90 seconds, denture cream gets dentures nearly twice as clean. So why pay for two products? All you need is denture cream.
As we've been reporting tonight, President Bush is reported in stable condition tonight at Bethesda Naval Hospital. He was taken there this afternoon after suffering a shortness of breath, what's called atrial fibrillation, which is a contraction fast and slow of the heart muscles. It happened while he was jogging at Camp David. For the very latest, we want to go again to our correspondent Bill Plant in our Washington Bureau. Bill?
Bob, everybody is standing by for an announcement from Bethesda Naval Hospital expected sometime later this evening, but the president's condition is said to be stable and safe. It's worth noting, I think, that the president, though 67, exercises regularly, quite a lot for someone his age. He jogs 2 to 3 miles daily, he plays tennis, and he has suffered something that is not uncommon. The atrial fibrillation is defined in medical dictionaries as cardiac arrhythmia, something many people have. And in March, he had his annual physical. And his physician said then that the president, and I'm quoting, remains an extraordinarily vigorous man who continues to thrive on a great deal of physical activity. So the outlook is probably pretty good.
Thank you, Bill, and we'll have more information on all this. We'll break into regular programming as we get details. For now, Bob Schieffer, CBS News, New York. Good night.
This is CBS.
Hey, Metro Washington.
Why would you serve fast food when you can get good food fast at 7-Eleven?
Come on in. We're going to treat you right.
We got pizza by the slice.
Pizza by the pie.
Hot dogs.
Mustard, ketchup, relish, cheese, chili, onions.
All the same price. Absolutely free.
Come on in for lunch. We've got fresh deli sandwiches, nachos and cheese.
Bingo. The greatest cup of coffee in town, but you know that.
You come into 7-Eleven, you're going to love it.
Why would you go anyplace else?
Now get 2 Big Bite hot dogs for just $1.29 at 7-Eleven.
It has an extremely powerful engine